Hello and welcome to the Stonery. Today's episode is on a hot knife that I purchased when I started to dab. I actually made it my 420 resolution to start dabbing. I decided I was going to do a 420 resolution last year, that it was fun. This year I might buy a piece. I don't know, I always want to do something special for it, but last year's was learn how to dab. I recorded the rest of the episode before this. It was with a different mic. I hope y'all can bear through the quality. It is not as good as this one, I don't think, but I'm hoping this one sounds a lot better. This one is my forever mic, or at least until it breaks. I got it for Christmas. My partner actually got it. They're very thoughtful, and I've been gabbing about doing the podcast, so they wanted me to have better quality stuff. So back to the hot knife. I definitely think this made being a beginner dabber a lot easier because I wasn't really focused on the dab tools as much. Like it wasn't really messy very much. It wasn't something I had to constantly clean. They tend to be pretty clean when you use them, or at least in my experience it has been. And one more fun fact about this before I let you get to the rest of the episode. I recently bought a seahorse, a Luca seahorse. I am loving it, and I will be doing an episode on it. But it's a 510 thread, and you can actually screw on cards with it. And so, of course, my first instinct was to screw on the hot knife, and it did in fact work, and it worked pretty damn well. So Lucas Seahorse hot knife combo deal was pretty cool and fun, and it made me laugh, you know? So, as I recently mentioned, my 420 resolution this past year was to learn how to dab because I'd never dabbed. Not once. Um, yeah, literally not once. I've been smoking since 2018, I think. So I got myself set up with a little rig and the bong that I talked about with the little Yoshi egg and the sand that reacts to the temperature and all that fun stuff. And then I went to Apotheca to pick up some concentrate, which I don't even remember what concentrate I got. It just was a concentrate from forever ago. And so when I went in to pick up the concentrate, I actually saw the Ooze brand 510 threaded hot knife attachment. And now that sounds like a mouthful, but it's basically a hot knife with a 510 thread on it, so you can put it on the same battery that you would use a vape cartridge on, and then use that battery as a hot knife. So, now is the time where I tell you about what a hot knife is. And now, again, you're going to notice that I'm in the newer mic and not the older mic, and that is because I'm listening to this episode and I realized I did not explain at all to you what a hot knife is. And if you are not a dabber, you might not know what a hot knife is. And if you don't know anything about weed, you might not know what a hot knife is. So, dabs are what people call hits you take from concentrate, if you want to dumb it down that far. And hot knives are a dab tool that you can use to help you with that. It is basically a knife shape, and it heats up with usually it's got some sort of battery in it. With this one, it's a 510 thread, so it's any vape battery. With some others, they have them all built in. It's just like a whole hot knife unit. But basically, it's just a little knife that gets hot that people use to dab. It makes it easier to drop in dabs depending on how sticky your concentrate is. There's different levels of stickiness in the concentrate that you can buy, and I'm sure I'll talk about that in a different episode. because there's so much you could talk about on the different types. I only know a few. I know there's like sugar and batter and shatter and rosin. There's also reclaim, which is a whole nother different topic. This episode is not about that hot knife, because that hot knife broke on me after like 6 months of use. It was more user error than product failure, but I didn't want to buy the same thing again because I hardly ever do unless I'm overly thrilled with the product. I tend to go searching for something better. So I went cheaper. I literally looked on Amazon. I was not expecting to find hot knives on Amazon. But you never know what kind of weed thing you're going to find on Amazon because it's so weird what they regulate and what they don't. I found a 2-pack of what's called hot tip hot knives. The company may not exist outside of Amazon. I'm a little confused by that. I should probably check and see if they're still up there. Either way, I would recommend a hot knife. I hate cleaning things, and the hot knife makes things so much easier to clean, let alone like to use. Yeah, the hot tip is still on Amazon. I like that the lid covered the whole hot knife. Like on the ooze one, it kind of just stopped when it hit the metal, but the one that I have right now, it covers the cap covers all of the metal down to whatever screwed flush with the vape battery. This one worked really well. I love it so much. I mean, it's a hot knife. There's not a ton to talk about. This is definitely going to be a shorty, but I wanted to talk about it. It definitely feels sturdy. I've had it for a few months now. I gave my other one to Vincent. I don't know what's happened with it, but I'm assuming they're using it. I mean, they have the seahorse, so they tend to use that a lot. Thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. The best way to support the podcast is to tell your friends about me. Tell your friends to listen to the podcast. Share me with your online friends, your in-person friends, random people you don't know at the dispensary. Share me with everybody, please. That is the best way to get the podcast out. But also follow me on Instagram. I'm at the _stonery_pod. You can email me, thestonerypod@gmail.com. You can join the Discord, which should be in my Linktree link, which all of my other stuff should be there too. I will also answer Instagram DMs or emails, or please leave a review on your favorite podcast player, whatever you use. It's always helpful to have a review. I know it's nicer to look at a podcast that has a review than doesn't, you know? I tend to actually get my podcasts word of mouth. That's how I find more podcasts, either from my friends, my coworkers, or my podcasts. Honestly, some of them are because my podcast had somebody on and I fell in love with them and I wanted to listen to their podcast. But that is all, folks. Have a wonderful day and stay medicated.